Hare Krishna, everyone. Dandavat pranams. Please accept my respectful pranams. Welcome. So we're going to be going live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, US, as often as possible on a daily basis. And I'll be reading from our sacred scriptures and discussing, and also any questions you have during the talk, you can write them on Instagram and my assistant will ask the questions as they come in. So I hope you can hear me okay. I hope that it's working well. We'll improve it over time more. Also, these videos will be available as a podcast, the audio, and on YouTube. I'm doing this to try to be of support to devotees, to serve Krishna's devotees. It's my prayer, my hope to serve Krishna's devotees. There's a beautiful verse by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhakata Seva Paramasiddhi Prem Lati Karamula, that the root of the awakening of divine love is service of Krishna's devotees. So the way I'm doing that in my ashram as a renounced monk, sannyasi, is by speaking about Krishna, remembering Krishna, helping people, encourage them to remember Krishna. So our focus here is Shravanam, the process of hearing, Kirtanam, the process of speaking and chanting Krishna's name, singing about Krishna, and Smaranam, remembering Krishna. So on these live streams, we will be following that program. In the Bhakti literature, it's described that the three most important limbs of Bhakti and what's considered Swarup Siddha Bhakti, perfect in its very nature, eternally perfect, is that process of hearing and of speaking or singing about Krishna, Kirtanam, and Smaranam, to remember. So in these live streams, we'll also be going live in the evenings. We're working out our schedule. We hope to be doing this weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Eastern. We have our temple schedule here in New York, in our upstate New York ashram. And so we'll be sharing more information about the ashram and about our beautiful Sri Radharaman Thakurji. So it's not normal that we have temple programs every day, but we're just making this available to our friends and to whoever seeks inspiration from this. If you like it or not, let us know in the comments, please. Any questions you may have. Really, it's my desire and aspiration to serve devotees. Krishna says that it's a bit presumptuous to declare ourselves his direct devotees. Really, his devotees are the devotees of his devotees. Especially that's applicable in this world, because to serve Krishna means to be a liberated soul in the spiritual world, serving him directly. And so the best we can do in this world is to serve his devotees. And that brings us closer to him, and it teaches us how to be with him in the spiritual world. That's the point. You want to be with Krishna, then Krishna is not alone, he has his family. People have this idea that I have a relationship with God. We've been talking about this on our reels. We have a natural relationship with God. But that relationship with God isn't just you. There are others in existence also. There's a very popular non-dual monistic tradition that teaches that we're all just one. And then we all negate our existence and don't have any experience. Really, oneness means oneness and difference, maintaining our individuality and learning how to relate, be in union, be in harmony. So in other words, if we are not making relationship with Krishna's devotees, if we're not developing love and affection for Krishna's devotees, then to say, oh, I will be with Krishna, this is illogical. It's not reality. Krishna is the Supreme Personality who is surrounded with his loving family, his loving associates. And So your direct relationship with Krishna actually, without learning how to associate with his devotees, is not possible. So that's why Krishna says that the devotees of my devotees are my devotees. It doesn't mean that you can't have relationship directly with Krishna. We serve Krishna's deity form, we chant Krishna's names, we're developing the mood of being Krishna's devotee, his servant. But there's also a verse in our scripture that says, Age hoy mukti. First you need liberation. Tabe sarva bandhan nas. What does that mean? All attachments are cut. All bondage is cut. Tabe se hoite pare. Then you can be Sri Krishna Das, the servant of Krishna. So the idea here is that for us to be free of bondage means to be free of the tendency to relate improperly with Krishna, with the world, with other living entities. And so to learn to be devotee of his devotees means learning how to relate properly. Mahaprabhu teaches us the importance of proper behavior amongst devotees. Mahaprabhu says, Trinadapi sunichana, you should develop humility. Duroriva sahishuna, you should develop tolerance. Amanina manadena, you should give honor to others without desiring honor in return. Kirtaniya sadahari, then you can constantly engage in kirtan. That's instructing the devotees how to behave and relate, having humility and tolerance for oneself and for others, honoring others without desiring honor. And Rupa Goswami teaches the same thing, how to engage in the world. That's called sambandha gyan. Knowledge of your relationship. So knowledge of your relationship isn't just directly with Krishna. Even in the higher aspects of the subtle, esoteric, devotional practice, it's based on your manner of relating with Krishna's associates. Srila Rupa Goswami says, Krishna smaram janam chasya. You should meditate on Sri Krishna with his associates. Prestam nija samanhitam, and pray to be nearby his dear ones. Tat tat katar taschaso, you should engage your consciousness in hearing of Krishna and his associates. Kuryat vasam braje sada, in this way you should endeavor to eternally reside in Vraj, Krishna's eternal realm. So for me, it is my prayer to serve Krishna's devotees. That's my only aspiration in this, whatever this life is. If we can serve Krishna's devotees, and part of the way we serve the devotees is through focusing on Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotion. Our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, again and again, he would speak about what is pure bhakti. Without any exterior motivation, just simply selfless, unmotivated, loving, causeless devotional service. Completely offering our heart and soul to Sri Krishna. And therefore, it's described in the bhakti text that Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, to hear, to speak about Krishna, to remember Krishna, this is eternal, perfect bhakti. Has no contamination, no anything else. Just hearing about Krishna, speaking and singing to Krishna, and remembering Krishna. This is pure bhakti. And sevanam. Serve the devotees, serve Krishna, serve the temple. Srila Rupa Goswami, Sri Prahlad Maharaj, Rupa Goswami also speaks about this. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and other scriptural texts. Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam speaks this. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. What do we do afterwards, you say? Are we just hearing and speaking and remembering? No, then we're serving. What is service? Service is everything. Service is a mother caring for her child and telling the child how to sing. Govinda Dhamo Dharamadhaveti, Govinda Dhamo Dharamadhaveti, Govinda Dhamo Dharamadhaveti, Govinda Dhamo Dadamadhaveti. This is service. If you're a mother, teach your child to sing. Govinda Dhamo Dadamadhaveti. Govinda Dhamo Dadamadhaveti. Govinda Dhamo Dadamadhaveti. Govinda Dhamo Dadamadhaveti. One thing I tell to parents is, if you want your children to develop bhakti, love and devotion, you must. You can't instruct somebody to do something that you aren't. There's a story of a guru, and he had a family once come to him, his disciples, and they said, "Oh, Guru Maharaj, please, my son, my young son, is addicted to sweets, and it's causing him so much illness. Please instruct him to stop eating so many sweets." And the Guru said, "Okay, come back in 3 days." And they offered obeisance and left. 3 days later, they came back, offered pranam to the Guru and said, "Oh, Guru Maharaj, please give any instruction." And he told the boy, "Don't eat so many sweets. Something. And you should stop for some days. Get your health back." So they offered pranam and left. Sometime later, they asked Guru Maharaj, "Oh, why didn't you tell him 3 days ago? Why did you tell him today?" He said, "First, I had to stop eating sweets. How can I give him an instruction that I'm not following?" So for parents, if you want your devotee, your children to develop bhakti for Krishna, 2 things are there. One is to understand that Krishna is the ultimate controller and we are servants. To control another living entity is pap, sin. That controlling tendency, I will be Ishvara, I will be the controller, is described to be a demonic quality in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The controlling tendency is the symptom of a demonic energy of mentality. Ishvaroham, I am the controller. Ishvara is the name of God, and it means the controller. Ishvaroham, aham bhogi, and then I am the enjoyer. So we spoke about this. We had a podcast last night with Jai Shri Yoga. If you're there, Haribo. And we're talking about this. In life, consciousness can operate on 2 kind of frequencies. But I just want to finish before I get into that tangent. For parents, serving, loving, guiding, it's different from the point I'm making here is that you can't control your child and think that will make them a devotee. And you're going to tell them to chant and chant and chant. You practice with love, with sincerity, with mood, with devotion. You're offering food to Krishna and taking prasad. That's how my parents taught me. They were practicing. They would do arati, then we would sit down. They would take me to India. So for parents, practicing yourself and then having a loving, serving, guiding mood. God is their ultimate parent. I am just the servant of God, and I have that responsibility now to help this living entity come closer to God. And therefore, I am trying to be the best guardian I can be, the best parent I can be in that role. But you have your father, and we all have our same father, which is God. So for parents, practicing yourself, but also now the other side is that controlling tendency is different from the serving tendency. So the consciousness can either have this controlling energy mood or having a serving energy. And then the next one is the enjoyer energy versus be enjoyed by God. It comes down to this very subtle dynamic of, will I be the controller and the enjoyer, or will I be the servant? And instead of trying to consume the objects of this world, consume the energy of this world, I want to be the energy in service. I want to engage my energy in service. I am not a controller. I am a servant. There's a story, it's a story of a Muslim saint, actually not even a Muslim saint, a Muslim king. but there's many Islamic saint stories as well. But this Islamic king was approached by a beggar who bowed before the king and said, "Please, I need some wealth. I'm poor. Can you help me? And my family is in disarray and I'm suffering. Perhaps if you could help me with some land or something." And so the king came down from his throne and down the steps and offered prostrated obeisance and prayed. And then he sat back on his throne and said, "Yes." And then a few days later, another person came and did like this, and he did the same thing. And after a while, someone who was watching said, "Why should I pray to you for help? Who are you praying to?" And the king said, "Actually, I am not the controller. It may seem like I have this kingdom and I have power, but that is not the case. The ultimate controller is God. And who am I to give you anything? I simply come down and pray to God, and I try to serve. I am a servant. The highest position is the position of service. The sweetest position is the position of service. And that is not contradictory to taking any responsibility, to taking the position of power as well. But it's a mentality. I gave this example yesterday. If you're walking in a garden and you see beautiful flowers, if your tendency is to pick the flower and smell it, that's an enjoying mentality. But if you were to say, "Oh, look at this beautiful flower, I will pick it and offer it to Krishna, to God, at his lotus feet," then that is a devotional mentality. And we should learn to change, if possible, adjust our consciousness towards that mood of offering rather than the mood of consuming in anything in our life. When you go to the supermarket, are you walking through the aisles thinking about what you like to eat? Or are you thinking about what Krishna likes to eat? And if you apply this mentality, it's a very easy, simple method of Krishna consciousness. It's not difficult. It's based on relationship. And Krishna likes to eat, our guru in India, because we have an ashram in New York, where we are now. We'll show you more of it. Our guru in India told us, Krishna came to your ashram, Radharani, her Sakhis came to your ashram. You should cook them Western food. They've come, they want to experience it. Cook them pizza, cook them lasagna, make them sandwiches. We make our own bread. We make sandwiches for Krishna. And we feel like, today I'm following our guru's instructions. Krishna is not an Indian. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you're thinking Krishna is an Indian, you don't understand Sastra. The soul is not of any material nationality. So Krishna is God. And he is the same God for the whole world, for the whole universe. His name is Jagannath, the Lord of the universe. And his quality is that he is Raso Vaisaha. His nature is that he enjoys the loving service and the reciprocation of love with his devotees. And so when we're going to the supermarket, we may say, they have this meme of like husbands, dads. It's a dad joke kind of thing. You're going nowadays in the West, I lived in India for a long time. You don't go in India and you see like 50 kinds of peanut butter. God, do I get crunchy or smooth? Do I get, organic? Or nowadays it's like, do I get almond butter or cashew butter or macadamia nut butter or tahini? What do I do? You go in the cereal aisle and do I get Honey Bunch of Oats? Do I get Cheerios? Do I get Captain Crunch or whatever other stuff? What do I do? And the easy thing to do is just to think, like the Christians have this idea, what would Jesus do? So what would Krishna like? In my opinion, Honey Bunches of Oats, it's pretty good for Krishna. But we don't focus, that's not the point. I'm not saying, it can become sentimental also. But the point here is to try anyhow to engage your consciousness. If you're a parent and you think, my son, my daughter, then you should develop that mood that Krishna is also. If I'm getting something for my son or my daughter, I should first offer it to Krishna and think, Krishna is also mine. Whatever parental affection you have in your heart, offer some of that to Krishna. Because the soul's nature is to love and to serve. That's the soul's nature. Our mission we call in English, serve love. People are like, serve love. It sounds kind of like generic and sentimental. No, that's the principle of the soul. The nature of the soul is to be engaged to service. Bob Dylan would say, you got to serve somebody. There's a song, my bee. I'm not a good Bob Dylan impression guy, but might be a politician and so on and so forth, but you got to serve somebody. And so the soul's nature is to serve. And if you're naturally engaged in that in life, you can do it in a loving mood, or you can do it in a, gosh darn, I have to serve. That's not fair. I am the object of service. These are the two functions of the consciousness. You're either the object of service or you're the offering in service. When you're in the garden, you're picking a flower and smelling it. Think, how can I be a flower, fragrant, pleasing to Krishna's senses? And that is bhakti. Rishikena, Rishikesa, Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. That to serve Krishna's transcendental senses with my senses, my spiritual senses, free of all other material designations. I am man, I am woman, I am Indian, I am American, free of all designations. Sarva upadi vinirmuktam, completely free of all material designations. I am soul. I am eternal part and parcel of Krishna, the Supreme, the Divine. And my nature is to please him with my senses. That's why the gopis of Vrindavan are the highest, because they're engaging themselves completely in Krishna's service with all 11 senses. So, with all the indriya, with all the kadash bhav. So the idea here is, this is the way to develop a sweet, loving relationship. This is the process. This is how we develop a sweet. So if you have any questions, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll be doing question and answers, and we can talk about different topics like this. If you have any suggestions, our Gurudev's appearance day is coming up, so we're going to be reading and discussing a little bit from the book about his glories that we published. And our goal here is that we can be of support and help and grow together in bhakti as friends. We're going to be also doing japa together and doing a kirtan together. And in this way, all we can really do in life is to pray with sincerity and do our level best to serve with sincerity. That's what is in our hands. We are not, especially here, trying to focus on some elaborate scheme for worldwide conquest. How we're going to make thousands of centers and preach. No, the idea is how we come together and pray to Krishna. How we come together and practice the essential elements of bhakti. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I am not the controller, Lord. You are Ishwar. I am your servant. I am not the enjoyer, Lord. I am your servant. I am the offering. For those who know this story, when Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill and all the residents of Vrindavan offered many items, our gurus would say this is a symbolic, not only symbolic, they're making the offering, but ultimately the soul is the offering. Anna kut means the mountain of offerings to Krishna. And it said that the anna, that essential, anna means that essential energy. And consciousness is the soul, and you offer it to Krishna. And then you enter into that realm of divine love and experience and ever-increasing happiness, bliss. So our mentality here is, how can I do that? Everything then becomes a loving exchange. And so we come together and we pray. Our live streams is not just to speak. The goal is to encourage ourselves to pray. When we chant our japa one round together, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and pray to Krishna. I tell people, if you put your hand in your heart and you chant this mantra, the sound is coming from inside. And the heart is the seat of Krishna, the Supreme. And when we chant our Gayatri, we put our hand on our heart. It means we meditate on creating a temple in our heart. That is our meditation. That I'm sitting and I'm chanting my Gayatri. Children will imitate this if you're a parent. If dad is sitting and chanting his Gayatri, then son is going to sit and chant his Gayatri. I remember, this is a funny anecdote perhaps, growing up, I'd always, my dad has this, I should have this. Dad has that, I should have that. So dad has Gayatri, I should have the Gayatri. This actually played out in my life. In 1996, I went to India and on pilgrimage with my father to see our guru. He'd come to our town in the foothills of California in 96. So we followed him, and in the month of Kartik in the fall, we're in India. And I received the Harinam first initiation, and he received the second initiation, the Brahma Gayatri and the Gayatri mantras. And I asked my guru, we were sitting in a small little room. And I said, my father got the Gayatri mantras, and I got Harinam. When will I get Gayatri mantras? And he said, maybe next year. I said, okay, I'm going to hold you to it, Gurudev. That was in Kartik 96. And in 97, he came back to our town, New Braj, and he gave me the Gayatri mantras. I was 10. Most of the community, were receiving Harinam, especially the younger ones, the children. But I took Gayatri mantra. And so now for the last 25 years, I've been chanting the Gayatri mantras. But it was because my father received it. And he was sincere, and he was chanting, that inspired me. Every year he would take me to India. 96, 97, 98, 99, taking great expense to take me to India. It said that you should not be a father unless you can deliver your dependent. Should not be a guru unless you can deliver your dependent. Should not be a mother unless you can deliver your dependent. So a real father is someone who encourages their child. A real mother is someone who lovingly supports and encourages their child in the development of spiritual life, of bhakti, which is the purpose of human life. So I have so much gratitude, therefore, to my father and to my mother and to my family, because from the time I was a child, they encouraged me in bhakti. My mother, before I would run out to play, she would say, chant one round. And I remember, I was like, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram. Kids, it's like, with kids, 5 minutes is eternity. 5 minutes is like 5 yugas, 5 ages. Children and gopis, similar. The gopis say, Krishna, a moment separate from you is like an age. So for kids, it's like, I have to chant a whole round of japa. That was when, in the early 87, 90s, I was like chanting 93, 92, trying to chant a round before I played. It was difficult, but it's actually sweet. It's not punishment. It said, no, you chant one round of japa. On the beads, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Otherwise, you just become a karmi in life, just a worker bee, not a lover of God, not a devotee. So we chant and we teach like that in a sweet way. Playing kirtan in the home, cooking and offering to Krishna. It's the simple things. It's the simple things that will take you back to Krishna, take you back to Godhead. That's bhakti yoga. It's cooking and offering it to Krishna and then eating it. It's when you're in the store thinking, okay, today I'm going to make a sandwich. How can I make the best sandwich for Krishna? Western culture is going away from that. We want to go to Subway and someone makes us a sandwich. We want to go to Chipotle and someone makes us a sandwich. We don't want to make a sandwich for Krishna. That is our ultimate obstacle now in life. We think, oh, go back to the kitchen? What am I, a housewife in the 50s? I am so advanced. Human civilization is create a microwave so we don't have to cook. Order from Grubhub or Uber Eats so I don't have to cook. So I am the enjoyer. Cooking is menial work. But when you're going to the supermarket, even if you're making it for yourself, Bhaktivinoda Thakur would say, even if you're making it for yourself, think, I have this tendency, I'm an enjoyer, but you know what? Let's make it a good sandwich and give it to Krishna first. That's why devotees, we don't like to eat at Subway and so forth, because the consciousness is not Krishna consciousness. It's enjoyer consciousness. I am you think of it like Rahu, the planet that consumes. I am a consumer. My essential nature, I am an American, and I am a consumer. And I am a mouth. I am a big mouth. And I'm trying to eat up the world. In Gaia, there's a demon, and it's that demon who was just a mouth. He was a demon who was actually eating up planets in the whole universe, like these crazy Vedic cosmic titans. He was eating and eating and eating everything, the ultimate consumer, the perfect American. No, perfect American is God, family, country. That's America. God, family, country. That means God's earth. I am the servant. But not a mouth. We should try in our life not to be a mouth. We should be hands in service. We should be ears in hearing. And we should speak about Krishna. Then we should take his prasadam. So it's a simple mentality that we can practice in our life, and will make our life sublime. It's a simple switch. It's a simple switch. 1% better every day. Not 1%, 0.1% better every day. Today I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to buy something to offer to Krishna. Even if it's something I like, for me. I'm going to buy a smoothie and offer it to Krishna. I'm going to buy some cherries and offer it to Krishna and take his remnants. And how do I offer to Krishna, you may say? God is in your heart. You know, this one's for you. God is in your heart. So you can sit and say, Om Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, and offer it to your heart. Better, offer to a picture of Krishna. Better, offer to a deity of Krishna. But God is everywhere, and he's in your heart. So offering it is just a mentality. Offering it is a mood. And then he says, take. It's like a child who says, Daddy, look, good, bad? And the dad says, yes, take. And the child takes it. It's called anugatya, guidance. Dear Lord, please accept me in your service. Please accept me in a relationship of love. So for you and for me, I accept. I take Krishna's mercy. Then this is not being a consumer. This is being a prasadatarian. We're not vegetarians. We're prasadatarians. Whatever we take in life through our ears, through our eyes, through our mouth, with our nose, with our hands, should be Krishna's prasad, an offering to Krishna. Everything becomes holy. Everything becomes sanctified. Everything is already sacred, but we make it profane. Everything in this world is sacred. But when we have that demonic energy, I will enjoy, I will control, I will be the Ishwar, then we make it stool. So we want to make it prasad, transcendental life. Transcendental life means developing that relationship of bhakti yoga. So we'll take questions. Have you have any questions, or we can do kirtan?
Yeah, there's one question. How do we find association of devotees and the spiritual community?
How do we find association of devotees and spiritual community? Prayer, sincere prayer, know what you want. What are you looking for? Yeah, and maybe in the future lives, if questions come up in the meantime, you can raise your hand and you have your representative here. So that way it can I know if people are checking in, checking out, I can try to give quick answers. So to find spiritual community, spiritual community has many facets. And, there's online communities, there's live-in communities. We have community here, but there's external elements. Okay, do I like that area? Do I like the land? Do I like the climate? Will I get jobs? Spiritual community, you should look for the core essence of what you're looking for on the spiritual level and figure out a situation that can work for you. There's many communities. There's communities all over the world. Sadly, there's not more. And sadly, they're not all very healthy, very vibrant, very successful. So spiritual community, focus on the spiritual element, what inspires you. Find teachers that inspire you, that love you, that support you. There's 3 qualities of a good teacher in a community. They are in the same mood as you, in a similar. That's why it's seen different ashrams, different gurus, different lineages. You find what's natural to your mood. If you only want to be there for material benefit, this will solve these needs. It'll solve my need for, support and so forth. No, it should solve your spiritual need. So have a similar mood, be able to give you shelter, to be more advanced and uplifting, and affectionate. Those 3 ingredients. And so it's a personalized process. So Krishna never fasts, but the whole universe is present within Krishna. So you could also say Krishna never eats. Everything is part of him. So it's about a mood of offering. So when you fast, if you have deities in your home, you should still offer. If you're doing meditation, you should still offer. You don't even have to offer physically, right? You can mentally go to the supermarket and pick out something nice and offer it to Krishna in your mind. There's a story of a Brahmin. It's a scriptural famous story. The Brahmin every day would offer sweet rice to Krishna in his mind, to Vishnu. And one day he forgot to test in his mind if the pot was still hot, because generally you let it cool enough to offer it. You don't, drink boiling hot coffee or boiling hot tea. You let it cool down so it's proper temperature. So Krishna, his coffee, his tea is sweet rice. So you're offering sweet rice, but he forgot to cool it down. And then in the middle of the offering, he thought, oh no, I didn't cool it down in his mind. So he put his finger in it and his finger burnt. And then he opened his eyes from his meditation and he saw his finger was burnt. And in the meantime, in the spiritual planet of Vishnu, with his consort Lakshmi, he began to laugh. And his consort Lakshmi, his counterpart, his counter whole, asked him, why are you laughing? He said, oh, my devotee in earth every day is offering me sweet rice in his mind and I'm relishing it. But today in his mind, he forgot to check if the sweet rice was cool. And in the middle of the offering, he checked and it was still too hot and he burnt his finger. Therefore, I'm laughing. And Lakshmi Devi said, yes. He said, yes, I will go and show you. And they went together and they accepted that devotee and took him to the spiritual world, the home of the soul. So I tell people we are spiritual beings having a human experience. But if we're in the material world, that's not our proper place. We are spirit. And so spirit lives with spirit in the spiritual realm. This is the material reality. But we should go to that spiritual reality, which is our natural place, where everything is spirit, where everything is based on spiritual energy, not material energy. Okay?